CG show. With me today, Mr. Thomas Deng, a professional athlete who's currently plying his trade in Japan in the JLeague, playing for Urawa Red Diamonds. He's only 23 years old, has had a great career with over 70 appearances at the Melbourne Victory. He had a short loan stint with one of the biggest clubs in Netherlands, PSV. He's also been capped for Australia. And now I've got the pleasure of discussing everything, his origin story and how he's been going. So, Tommy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, brother. It's been a while.
It's been a long time. I know we touched quickly off camera. It was good to just catch up. It's how you left in February. So, and I don't think I've seen you. I probably haven't seen you in over a year, but I really wanted to reconnect and have this conversation when you were one of the guys on my list, and I was like, as soon as I get this rocking and rolling, I want to talk to you, man, because you've got a great story, you've got a good origin story. You were obviously born in South Sudan. You moved over to Adelaide. You came to Melbourne and somehow stumbled across kicking the ball, and then you've really carved out a pretty decent career, and you've got a massive career ahead of you. And just give me a start, man. Obviously, you were, as I touched on, you were born in South Sudan and moved to Adelaide. When did you leave South Sudan and come to Australia?
So I was actually born in Kenya, Nairobi, and I was
I'm so sorry about that.
Nah, no problem. And thingy. So we moved to Australia when I was 6 years old. So we got here in 2003 in South Australia, and at the time, we had a very small family, and I think it was just my brother, my three brothers, my older sister, and my mum that come over, and we had some family in Adelaide as well that we knew, which was good. They really helped us to adjust to life in Australia, and they made things a lot easier.
Were you playing football? Like, were you playing football when you before you came to Australia, or was it something where you picked up the game over here?
No, we like when we were living in Kenya, we used to play with the local kids, my older brothers, everyone. We used to play. I was quite young at the time, but that's when football first started, and that's when the love of the game began for me.
So I'm surprised you never picked up AFL or anything like that when you
No
moved over
way.
here.
No way.
So
No way.
Adelaide, so you were in Adelaide because of family, and so you moved over to Melbourne when you were 16. What was Adelaide like from the period of the 10 years that you were in Adelaide, and
Yeah.
why did you move over to Melbourne?
Adelaide was great, man. It was really good. It's a small city. So growing up, it was a nice place. You had your family close by, and you had your friends, and it was really easy to get around. And that me and my brother Peter, we started playing football there at a Italian club called Adelaide Blue Eagles. And yeah, so that was our first club ever. And going there was good, man. You felt like you had a family, and like a place where you felt connected to everyone through football. You didn't really need to speak, or it didn't matter what color your skin was. Everyone really made us feel welcome, and it was good. It was a good time there.
And then obviously you made the move to Melbourne when you were 16. Why the change up? Was there anything in particular? It wasn't for football.
No, it wasn't football. So we moved over because my mum and my sister wanted to move over for work, and for opportunities. And we also had family in Melbourne, and yeah, they were telling us that it was a great place to live, and there was a lot of opportunities for work and whatever you wanted to do. So my mum and my sister made a decision, and then we moved over end of 2011. And that's when I come to Melbourne, I went to school, and the other boys were playing at lunchtime, and I got to know them, and that's when I went to Western Eagles. And at the time, I didn't know it was a straight state three club. So
Yeah.
ended up staying 2 years there. But it was good. It was a good experience. The first year I played like under 15s or 16s with the boys, and then the year after I played senior football, which was good. You have to.
What what was that like? Because you would have been what 16, what 15, 16 years old, what
Yeah,
16, 17 years old,
yeah.
playing state three,
It was,
which which they would have been some big bodies more worried
yeah.
about trying to hack you down
That was
than
that was
technical ability.
Yeah, that 100%. That was the most difficult thing because I had to watch out and I had to look after myself on the field because obviously I was a bit quicker than them and they were pretty much out there to get me. But it was a good experience to play with the older men at that time and at that age.
Was there? Can I ask now? You there was something that I just wanted to touch on. Obviously, You moved a few times before settling in Melbourne. Did that kind of? How did that? How did that play a role in your life? Having to adjust to new settings every couple of years. You probably made friends in
Yeah,
Kenya, then you had to move, and then you made all these friends in Adelaide, and then you
yeah.
had to move again. How did that make you adjust? And how did that really make you kind of feel? Because obviously now as a professional footballer, it's kind of what you have to really do. But yeah, how did
Yeah.
that really make you feel?
Yeah, I think moving from Kenya to Australia was a little bit easier because I was young at the time, so I didn't really care. It was a bit like an adventure for me, so everything was new. Um, but like once we got to Adelaide, I spent 8 9 years there. Um, Made a lot of friends, and we had family there, so we were all pretty comfortable. And I was playing football at the time there, so leaving that was probably the hardest. And I got into a few arguments with my mum and my sister about it, and telling them to leave me behind. Um, but in a way, I think it was also a good thing. It was a blessing in disguise to move to Melbourne and make that transition. And a few years down the track, you think about it, what 4 or 5 years after, I'm at Melbourne Victory Youth and playing, and then the year after, I'm playing with the senior team. So it was definitely a blessing in disguise.
And how did that go? So you then obviously so you adjusted well, and then yeah, you were playing at Western Eagles. You probably carved up the league, doing fairly well as a youngin.
Yeah,
And then you just decided, you know what, I'm gonna try and make the top league, obviously semi pro before
yeah,
Melbourne before you got an opportunity at Melbourne Victory. You were at Green Gully.
yeah.
Now, was that so? Did you go straight into the senior team, or how did that play out?
So yeah, the time that I made the decision to move to Gully was, yeah. So my final year at Western Eagles, I thought, I need to push myself. I need to go back and try to push myself in the NPL system. And that's when I went to Gully. But I tried out as a reserve player, and the trials were good. The trials went well, and I made the squad. And then my coach at the time, he was the reserve coach,
Yeah.
and the first team coach I think got fired or something, and he got promoted up. So that's when he took me up with him, and I started playing fullback for the first time. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was playing left back, and I'm a right footer. So it was a bit difficult, but yeah, that's when I first started, playing senior football at a semi-pro level, and I played like 13, 14 games at Gully, and I think it was really good for me at that age, and I got noticed by Darren Davies, the Melbourne Victory youth coach at the time, and he invited me for trials.
Yeah. So what was it like? So obviously your transition to the NPL. What did you find when you first started playing senior football at the semi-professional highest level with the NPL?
Yeah.
What did you need to adjust? Like what was the hardest? What did you find that you really needed to work on? What surprised you and what did you learn?
To be honest, the hardest thing was probably the physicality of the league. It was very physical, the NPL. At that time, especially, I was playing with the likes of Roddy Vargas and Andy Vargas. and also other players that were very experienced. So they kind of got me under their wing and helped me out a lot. And yeah, I think it was just overall it was a great experience to have that at such a young age, and also for your confidence as well.
And then you obviously got scouted by the Melbourne Victory. How old were you? Were you 18 when
I think
you?
I was no, I was a bit younger. I think I was 17, probably just
Yeah.
turned 17 at the time. Yeah.
And so you got scouted for the youth team. How long did you spend in the youth team before
Yeah.
you got your chance at professional football?
So yeah, so I played 1 year of the youth league. So I played 1 year of the youth league, and then played half a season of MPL. And then like I think maybe once or twice I sat on the bench while I was in the youth team. Um, and then the year after, like I was training as well, a
Mm.
few days a week. So they were slowly bringing me in, and then the year after that, the half period of the NPL, that's when I got my 2 year contract with Victory, and I began training regularly, and I was around the senior environment, and I played about 13, 14 games as well, starts, which was also good, and Muskie helped me a lot, bringing me in and really believing in me, and also when I wasn't playing so well, having the confidence to and the belief to keep putting me in the squad.
What was that like? That your debut match, like when you finally everything you've been working so hard for, you finally got your opportunity, and you're just
Yeah,
about to walk out.
yeah.
And I can't. When was your debut, and what was it like?
My my debut was in Adelaide actually, which was
Yeah,
a
wow.
crazy coincidence. Yeah, so we played Adelaide away, and I remember that time because I was on the bench and Broxy got a second yellow. So straight away, like I seen that, and he was playing centre back, so I was like, "Fuck, what's going to happen here?" My heart started racing, and they called me over and go on the field, and it was special. It was a special night, to make my debut at the town where I grew up, and I had my family in the stands as well. So it felt like a dream for me.
That's insane, and you obviously blossomed your career. You spent 2 years at the Victory, where I, then I think you signed at PSV.
Yeah,
2 years later, was that correct?
yeah. So I spent 1 year in the youth, and then 1 year with the senior squad, with the senior team at Victory, and then yeah. So my second year, I went over to Holland on loan with PSV.
Did you did you What was that experience like? Did you feel like at the time you would have been what, 19, 20 years old? How did how
I
did
was
that how,
18,
how old?
18 at the time.
So now you're pretty much by yourself. You've
Yeah,
kind of you've kind of left everybody.
yeah,
You're pretty much by yourself. Like how did this even happen? Like what was going on? How did you even get picked up? And then in
yeah.
regards to what did you learn when you got over there? What was that whole experience like? Because
Mm,
it's mad. This was again another big dream come true. You're in Europe.
yeah,
You've got your massive big break, and yeah, I'm sure this part of your life would have taught you a lot of lessons.
yeah, 100%. So this deal came about when so I was a late call up to the Olyroos. They were doing qualifiers in Qatar that year, and it was the last stage to qualify, and I think a few players pulled out, and Aurelio Vidmar called me in to as a replacement, like last minute. So I went, um, and then I ended up playing the second game against Vietnam. I had a very good game, played well, and that's when I got noticed by PSV, and they contacted Johnny Grimaud, and I wasn't with Johnny at the time, so I met Johnny that same camp. And then Johnny is because a few of the boys that I knew were signed to Johnny, like Connor Payne, James Donachie, and a few other players. So they set up a meeting, and yeah, he came, he met me, and he said, "There's a few clubs looking at you. You know, would love to take you overseas." So I said, "Yeah, no problem." You know, I was young at the time. I didn't care. Like
Get me
anything
out of
goes. Yeah, anything goes. Get me out. So
here.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then yeah, it just happened so fast. After that camp, came back, and I was basically getting ready to go. And once I got over there, it was like yeah, it was also like a dream come true. You know, as a young kid, that's what you aspire to do. You know, you want to get to the top level, and you want to go to Europe and push yourself. So for me, it was a great experience, and also many lessons learned. You know, the quality of the players, and you know, the expectations that are required from you as well, day in, day out. The training sessions are, you know, are very intense. Um, so like for me, the first six months I struggled, but after that I adjusted. You know, and I started to mature, and you know, that helped me a lot, especially till now. This that Holland
Yeah.
trip, yeah.
Talk to me about it. So, man, you go over there. What were you expecting? You played. Did you played a few games in the? You got a few senior. So, like, I think it was more friendlies.
Yeah, I played friendly games with the second team.
Yep.
I never played with the senior team.
Correct. Yeah.
But for me, like I was young at the time. I was 18. I thought, you know,
Yeah.
oh, I just made my A-League debut, played 14 games. Or these kids haven't played senior football, so I'll probably have the edge over them. And then I got there, and I got a surprise, you know. So
Yeah.
um,
What was it? What was it like? Like what was the quality like? What really was it like? What was their professionalism like? Like when you talk about day in day out,
yeah,
was it? Did you come with is Australia? Are we a bit more relaxed in our mentality, or
yeah.
like yeah? What is that? Like talk to me about that. I'm very curious.
Yeah, 100%. So, like in terms of training, you know, the intensity and the quality of training was quite high. You know, even for a second team. You know, these academies, they really produce, you know, the best players. And when I got there, you know, technically I was a bit behind, you know, these kids. So the first few months was about, you know, just sharpening up, and also being able to compete at training, because training was like a game. You know, I'd have like one of my best mates freaking tackling me and telling me to get up. And so once I got used to that, and got used to that mindset that you're on your own. So it's basically like survival of the fittest. So once I got into that mindset, things started to change, but it was a bit too late, because that was towards the end of my loan period. So it was a bit of a disappointment, but I definitely, you know, cherished that opportunity, and till this day, that's probably one of the things that drive me to go back and to give it another shot.
Yeah, and well, you've gone now, obviously into the J League, so you're kind of by yourself again, which I'm sure you're
Mm.
taking a lot of the mistakes you made in the first time round. You're not going to be making them second time round. What was it
Yeah,
like trying to adjust, living on your own, having to do everything by yourself mentally? You're in a whole new country.
yeah,
You don't know anyone. You got
yeah,
nothing to do. You're probably in your room battling your own mind about the struggles of training. You could have had a
yeah.
bad week, bad day. Like,
Yeah,
what was all that about? Like, that would have been extremely tough. You're 18.
definitely. That was the hardest part mentally, just being able to adjust to being by yourself. You know, I had my own apartment. I was living by myself, so I would have to, you know, cook my own meals. I'd have to get myself up for training at the right time, make sure I'm on time for everything. And you know, also like when you talk about training, some days, you know, you have an off day, you don't train so well, you don't play so well, so you kind of come back, and you don't have your family there to get your mind off football. So you're constantly thinking about, you know, the mistakes that you've done. And you know, you just mentally, it's really hard. And I think that's one of the things the club didn't really help me with. I think they could have helped a bit more to help me, settle in and things like that.
Yeah, when you say that with the clubs, for example,
Yeah.
do you feel like, for example, there's like now where you're in Japan, or even I don't know, when you see players
Yeah.
internationals that come to, for example, the ALeague, all that jazz. A lot of them are older and they have families,
Mm,
but
mm.
you feel like the clubs, some other clubs do it so much better than
100%.
yeah,
100%. Man, like I think the whole of the A League, like when overseas players come in, the players are really good to them. The clubs are very good. All the players try to help them, whether it's finding furniture or whatever they
mm,
need. The players are there to provide a service for them. But when you go over there to Europe, there's some players that aren't really going to help you, and you're not going to
yeah,
be friends with everyone. You're going to have maybe two or three good friends that are going to be, close to you, and you're going to be with them every day. But like the rest, just keep to themselves, and the clubs sometimes because I was on loan as well. I think that um, kind of messed things up as well. Like they probably didn't want to put in too much time with me because they weren't sure that I was going to stay for too long. So that was it was a very complicated situation, but I learned a lot from that. And like now that I'm here in Japan, it's totally different. I'm more mature. I'm used to living away from home. Even when I come back from Holland, in Melbourne, like I stayed at home for like a year, and then I got sick of it, because I was so used to being by myself. So I moved out, and like now it's nothing for me.
and then and it's all part of the learning lessons. Do you feel like even when you're in Holland, being Australian, because a lot of their academy players, I'm sure they probably all would have been, a lot of them would have been Dutch.
Yeah, a lot of them were Dutch. They had a few like maybe a few how do you call it? Scandinavians. So you have like maybe some Icelandic. There was one Icelandic player, Danish boy, and then you have maybe like a few South Americans, and there was another boy from Italy as well. And yeah, even for them it was tough to come in and to change your whole life, and you're living in a different place. The good thing is that they spoke English, and that's what I found hard here coming here. That was the English, the language barrier. That was the most difficult thing in the
Yeah,
beginning. But yeah,
it's actually one of my questions a bit down the track. But so ultimately, what do you feel? What were your biggest? What were the biggest learning lessons out of the Netherlands, and why do you probably at the end of the day, obviously you came back.
mm,
What do you feel let you down? Was it? Do you
yeah,
feel like your quality of football wasn't up to scratch due to maybe the mental factors? Do you feel like that kind of played a huge role
mm,
in and it's obviously it's all part of learning lessons, man. Like it's
yeah,
just it is. But do you feel like that was probably your biggest challenge and
yeah.
your biggest lessons that you probably learned out of it?
Definitely, I think the mental side was a very difficult thing. You know, And I think also like with the coaches and stuff there, they kind of play mind games to see, how strong you are as well and how you react to things. So um, it was difficult at the start, as I said. And there was times like when I was, really feeling good and I was training well, and then I don't get an opportunity to play, and then you basically back to zero to score. So
Yeah.
it was definitely a very mental battle. Um, and like now that I'm a bit older, like I realize like I don't care anymore about what people think. Um, and I'm gonna play like the way I want to play as well. So you gotta have self confidence in yourself, um and if you're there for a reason as well. That's what you gotta remember. Yeah.
What when you said mind games, like what would they do? Like really, what would they do?
It's just like whether they'll, probably try to yell at you and try to get you to react to certain things, and to see how strong you are mentally, and
Wow, it's
also like
crazy.
yeah, things like that. So it was definitely a learning lesson. Um, yeah, it was good experience.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then obviously you came back. How did you feel about coming back to the A League? How did that make you feel? And like, what did you when you came back? What did you say to yourself? And what really drove you? Because I think you spent two more years at the Victory after that.
I think 3 years actually, three
Three
years at
years.
Victory. Yeah, well, yeah. When I come back, I felt like a different person. I felt like a beast because I felt like I've been deprived from playing football for the last year. So when I come back, I was hungry to prove myself and to prove that I was good enough. So every game, I don't know, I just I had a buzz in me. You know, I felt like I felt like an animal. It was really good. It was that, and I think it was a good decision to make that, to come back and just to play games. That was the most important thing. It didn't really matter what level or whatever it was, as long as you're playing. Because if you're not playing, you're not going to improve. So that's
Yeah.
that, that
What
that's what these kids, like young kids, got to realize as well.
Yeah. Do you feel like you moved? Do you regret going over to the Netherlands, or is it something like it
No,
was a like massive learning experience?
it's a massive learning experience, and I think it was great to learn to have that experience at such a young age, at 18 years old. Before my career now, it's I'd rather have that now than later on down the track when I'm 30 and I'm trying to go to Europe or whatever. So it was
And
definitely good.
you said like now you don't really care what people think of you. You're going
Mm.
to be playing however you want to play. You're going to do what you're going to do. Well,
Yeah,
like, where does that comment come from? Like, do you feel were you growing up playing the game? Were you a bit insecure, or like even being in the spotlight? You're a
mm.
professional that's always in the spotlight.
Yeah,
You haven't done anything. I haven't heard you. you haven't
yeah,
you haven't racked up any bad media, but I'm sure
yeah,
you get a lot of comments from
yeah,
reporters.
yeah.
Does that hurt? Like, especially coming back, you
Mm.
would have been known as not a failure because you were young, but
Mm.
Tommy's coming back. He didn't make it, and look at
It
him
wasn't
come
good enough.
back
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
A League. It wasn't good
yeah.
enough.
That was
Um,
one of the things that drove me as well. That what people were going to say, what the media was going to say, or what my teammates at Victory were going to think, or like maybe he went there when he was too young, he wasn't ready, things like that. So when I came back with like a vengeance, to prove myself to my teammates first and foremost, and then to my opposition, that I'm actually good enough to be playing at that level. And that first year I come back, ended up scoring 2 goals, played right back, played centre back, made the finals, won the championship. So it was definitely like a very good year.
and then you obviously smashed that. You won the championship. You obviously played a bit of Asian Champions League.
Yeah,
How did you find that? Obviously, we've the Western Sydney Wanderers. They've won it before, but pretty much every other club, every other
yeah,
A League club that's kind of gone into the competition, we've kind of been smashed.
yeah. So yeah,
We
I remember playing in the Champions League as well. I was doing well playing in the Champions League. I made the Champions League Team of the Week, I think 2 times or something as well. So I was playing really well. It's just the difference is that these guys, they've got like 30, 35 players in the squad compared to Australia. We got 23, 24 players in the squad. So they're able to play their league game, and they can rotate players, and the players coming in are pretty similar as well. So the quality is pretty much the same. It's not like bringing in a young kid that's never played before. So that's the toughest thing. We don't have big squads, and we don't have players that are almost on par in those positions.
and even the caliber, like the money they throw at some of those
Yeah,
Brazilians,
yeah, yeah,
it's insane. Some of those squads, and
yeah,
obviously that obviously probably set you up where you slowly you smashed everything in Australia, and you decided to move to the JLeague. How did that move come about?
The JLeague move came about in January. So when I went away with Ollie Roos, we were in Thailand qualifying for the Olympics, and they contacted my agent, and I think it was maybe the second last game, or the last game. My agent, texted me, and he said, there's a club looking at you, and we want you to play the next game. And then so the scout flew down. He flew down to Thailand, and we were playing South Korea that game. And I played the game before, and then I was feeling sick, so I didn't end up playing. And he ended up flying back. So my agent was a bit disappointed because he thought like, oh, the deal's off. They're not. I don't think they're gonna sign you. Whatever. We're not too sure what's gonna happen now. And then they ended up watching, the next two games. I played really well, and I was playing right back. Um, and then that after, and then we qualified. And after that game, I get a text from my agent saying, "Oh, what number do you want? What do you want? What number do you want at Urawa?" So I knew that everything went well. And the day after, when we were flying out, they rebooked my flight to Tokyo. So I came straight to Tokyo, did my medical, and then did my medical on the same day and flew back that same night to Melbourne.
So you didn't even get to spend any time there, just straight in,
Nah,
straight
straight in.
out.
Yeah, straight in, straight out. It's
And
crazy.
it's how did you feel about the move? Like, was there any other teams that were lurking, or like, did you kind of did you care that you were going to Asia, or like was it like whatever club get me overseas and let's just take that slow step and we'll get there?
Yeah. At the time, Aarhus in Denmark were looking at me as well, where Mustafa Mini and Alex Gersbach were. So, and even like when I went into like a few of the camps of the Socceroos, I was speaking to Musti, and Musti was telling me that his club were looking at me, they were really interested, and they even sent an offer to Victory. I was really thinking about that move, coming back to Europe, despite being in Denmark. I didn't really care. And then my agent was just saying to be patient and to see, what else we can get. So when that come out, when Urawa made the offer, I was stoked because they're a massive team here in Japan, and Andy Naboot as well played here, so he told me a bit about the club when he come back, and I thought it was a really good fit. And as soon as I found out, I spoke to Arnie, and Arnie said, "Yeah, do it. I think it's a great
It's
decision."
a good move.
Yeah,
How and well, you moved straight there and COVID hit. So
yeah.
how have you found that? Did you end up playing many games before COVID hit, or like what's your COVID journey been like?
No, we played one league game, and the funniest thing is, so when I arrived, the team was on training camp. So I come to training camp, and there was only 3 days left, and I played one trial match, and then the week after the season just started. So everything just happened so quick, and so in the first game I wasn't in the squad, and then just training whatever, and then this COVID stuff hit, and I think it was also a good thing for me as well because it kind of gave me time to settle because in the beginning everything was just happening so quick. The league came and I just got here, and so it got me to calm down and really adjust to things, and also to the life here.
And so were you locked in for a couple months? Were you like when did you get back to training? Like what was all that? Could you even go outside? Like did you meet your teammates? Like what was going on?
No, everything was shut down. So the club, no
Yeah.
one was at the club. We were training on Zoom. So I was training on my balcony with you had these little boxes, and then you have your conditioning coach, doing crunches, and you gotta you gotta you gotta replicate what he's doing, and it was a disaster, man. It was a
Yeah,
disaster.
that's funny, man. How did
Yeah.
you like? Do you feel like like obviously you'd come back and you'd wanted to smash this move, but did you find it was kind of hard to to stick to this regime or routine that they were giving you and your fitness levels, like trying to
Man,
keep them up and like,
man, I was cooking.
like
I
what was
was
that?
cooking about this. I was cooking about this Zoom training because I've never done that. Like no one's ever done that before. So for them to come up with that, like even like the foreigners we were all cooking about it, and we thought it wasn't ideal, but um I was doing my own jogging as well and trying to keep myself fit and keep my weight down. And then yeah, when we started training again, it felt like heaven.
Yeah, was it? Well, how are your fitness levels? Like, obviously, when you first started training, and how did you feel? Like, do you feel like what you were doing at home and trying to
Yeah,
jog was that anywhere near a good standard? Where
nah,
nah, nah,
nah,
doesn't matter how hard you
completely
try.
different. Yeah, completely
Yeah,
different. The I think the intensity with games and training is completely different to, you know, working out on your balcony and doing whatever weights or it doesn't. You can't really. There's nothing you can do.
even had you now that you've come back, do you find that maybe like is there some sort of everyone's kind of the way I'm describing this COVID thing is if even if you're up the top and you were down below, everyone's kind of come to the
Hmm.
same level. And
Yeah,
now it's up to that person to obviously depends on how hard you want to go, is if you'll get that competitive advantage. Have you
yeah,
kind of seen that? Like, have you felt like there's some players that you'd
yeah,
expect it to be, or but you've heard that they're so much better. They're a bit sluggish when they're
yeah.
coming back, or there's some players that are just killing it. Like you look at, for example, the results like in the AFL or even
Mm,
even the A League, like or even like the Champions League. Atlanta made like the
yeah,
quarters. Like it's a bit all
yeah,
over the shop.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, in the beginning it was tough, man. It felt like we started preseason again. It felt like we had two camps. So when we come in, they were pushing us hard every day. We had double sessions and also we were training in groups as well. So like one group would train in the afternoon and then the other group would train in the morning. So the coaches were doing 4 sessions a day. And it was crazy, man. But the good thing is that the Japanese are very disciplined. So when it's time to work, they'll work hard and they'll work their asses off. So that I think everyone was at a really good level, and yeah, our fitness levels came back just like that.
And how you said obviously in the Netherlands, people spoke English, it was okay. Going to Tokyo, how did you
Yeah,
find that language barrier, and what's been your biggest hurdles so far? So
yeah,
obviously the language barrier is
yeah,
a massive hurdle.
yeah,
What's that been like, and what other hurdles have you faced?
yeah. So yeah, definitely the language barrier in the beginning, and learning the names was difficult. And then what else? I'd say in the beginning it was tactically trying to learn, what the coach wanted from me and how the team was playing because I didn't have so much time. I didn't play enough games with them, so getting to know the players and what certain players like to do, and and things like that. So that's why I was really happy with the COVID thing because it kind of made me catch up to what the standards were and what the coach wanted from every player. Yeah,
Yeah. And so now it's your second time overseas. What do you feel like you've learnt so far, like from your Netherlands time to now, that you're
yeah,
looking back and like, aha, like I'm doing this differently.
yeah. I think just being able to adjust quicker to life. The quicker you adjust, the better it is for you. I think. Um, whether finding your apartment, things you do at training, getting to know the players, getting to know their names as quick as possible, and also asking questions as well from the coaches and asking what do I need to do and things like that.
And comparing, you're still fresh. You're only how many games have you had in the J League?
I think I played about
7?
6 or 7 games. Yeah,
Yeah. So you're
yeah,
fresh as well. Like, how do you compare the J League with the A League? A League quality wise, the
yeah.
fan wise, just everything. What are the differences?
Fan base is massive here. You know, our home games. I think the first game we had like a cup game. I went to watch. I was in the squad. We had I think about 25,000 fans, but it was loud, man. And normally they said, "Oh, this is nothing. We normally get about 45." So I was like, "Wow, that was, the stadium would be rocking." And then yeah, it was. And then what else? I forgot what I was gonna say.
But I'm
Yeah,
yeah, that's
but
the
yeah, and also the
question.
players. Yeah, like the players are, the players are quality. And you see it in games. They don't make, little errors, as much as as the A League, and um, you got really good foreigners as well here that can change the game for them. So you always, like, for me being a centre back, it's always a challenge because sometimes I'm playing, with a Japanese international, and then I'm playing with a really good Brazilian player. Um, and yeah, it's every week is a challenge for me.
Well, who is in the league? You said that you've got Iniesta coming up.
Yeah, Iniesta. So Iniesta's coming up. This Sunday we play his team, Visa Kobe. They're a really good side as well. I think they've got about 2 or 3 internationals. Um, and yeah, it's just going to be a massive experience. I'm a Barcelona fan, and I've been watching Iniesta for a long time since I was a kid. So to see him, alongside me would be amazing. He rolled his ankle the other day actually in the game, so I hope he comes.
I hope he's there.
Yeah, I hope he's
Come
there,
on.
man. Even if he limps there, I don't care.
Yeah. Just put him on the field. Put
Just put
him
him on
on
the
the
field, man.
field.
Then I could say, oh, I played against
Crazy.
Iniesta.
Yeah. 100%. That's insane.
Yeah,
And obviously as well, you made your debut for Australia a couple of years ago. What
yeah,
was what was that like?
man. I felt like a kid. It was like a dream come true to play and to make my debut with the Socceroos, and I made it the same day with Awa as well. Awa Mabil.
That's
So
right.
me and Awa, we've been knowing each other for over 10 years. We grew up in Adelaide together. We went to the same school, same neighborhood. Used to play at the park with each other. So that day, like, he come on first, and he came on, and then after I come on, and he ended up scoring on his debut. So we celebrated together. It felt like it was like when we were playing when we were young, in the park. Yeah, so
That
it was a special night.
it would have been extremely special, and you also captained the under 23s to the Olympics, which you led them to qualification, but COVID hit. So what does that mean for you next year? Are you still able to play, or are you too old now?
No, so they sat down with the Olympic Committee, and they changed the tournament to under 24. So I'll be eligible to play, and a lot of the 97 born players are playing will be able to play as well, which is good. Otherwise, I'll be pissed, man.
Yeah.
All that hard work gone to nothing, man.
For someone else to take your
Yeah,
spot.
for someone else to take our
I'm
spot,
the
or
captain
for
of
it not
this team.
for it to be wrapped up. Yeah.
That's insane, Tommy, man. Like, what an opportunity. Like, how did you find? Was that your first? Would you say was that your first part of bit of leadership? Really being a captain of a team. How did you find that? And what? That's a whole nother challenge in itself.
Yeah.
What did you learn out of that?
Yeah, so like, I've been knowing Arnie for a while now. So when he brought me in with the Socceroos, and all the other camps as well, we always speak about me and my leadership skills, and what he wants me to do. So first and foremost, he told me, I want you to be our captain, and because I know like we'll get to the Olympics, and I want you to lead the team. So it was, I think it was good for him to put me up there, and I'm probably one of the older boys in the group, and one of the boys that's played probably the most senior football as well. So um, yeah, I think it's an honor, and I'm happy to lead the boys.
Did you was there any big lessons that you learned out of that, and like just leadership in itself? Like, how did you find it?
I realize how important it is, how important it is to have a voice on the field. I played with a lot of great leaders. I played with Carl Valeri. I played with Millsy as well at Victory. So, and whenever I played with them, they're always, speaking during the game. Carl couldn't even speak after the game because he was that knackered. But it was good, man. Like even if someone made a mistake, he'll be there saying, "Don't worry about it. Let's keep going." It's just it keeps everyone ticking, and it keeps everyone
There's a
focused.
higher voice.
Yeah, keeps everyone focused.
And yeah, if you were, for anyone that's listening, that's trying to strive and make it as a professional footballer, you're still very young in your career, and you've got a long way to go. But was there
Yeah,
anything so far that you do differently, or would it all be the same? And any tips, like what really separated you? Because they always say, you know what, like it's okay, you've got to be extremely talented, but there's so many more parts to just being talented to make it at a high level.
yeah. For my journey, I wouldn't change it because that's what's made me who I am. And everyone has a different path, a different way to get to the top. So sometimes it takes a bit of time, and there's always going to be small hurdles, and there's things that are going to get in your way. But it's also about how you bounce back from it, and the belief that you have in yourself. So it's definitely there's always a learning to everything, to every experience. So you gotta take it by the grain of salt, and just keep pushing, and have you gotta have confidence in yourself always.
Do you do you do you really like? Would you say a lot of your success comes from literally just having just literally that belief in yourself that anything is possible, and
Yeah.
being able to always react like
Yeah.
life. There's always curveballs to everything.
Mm. Mm.
Wherever you are, there's always something. It's never a straight road, and
Yeah.
do you really believe the way you've just reacted to certain situations and how you've bounced back has
Yeah.
really helped you on your road? And do you feel like there's, even if you look at, I don't know, I'm sure there's been players that you've played with along
Mm.
your journey that you've just said to yourself, how, like, I can't believe he didn't make it. He was so
Mm.
talented. But were there certain things that maybe those players lacked,
Mm.
that obviously led them to not making it at,
Yeah.
to a level where they probably had the talent to?
100%. I think like all those experiences that I've had so far at a young age has molded me to where I am now, and then um, and I'm still learning, so I'm very open to learning. The experiences that are going to come are going to make me even better. Being in Japan now, I'm playing week in, week out, and I'm getting tested by the best players. And I played Asian Champions League against some very good players. The likes of Oscar and Hulk, who have played at the very top level. Um, so as I progress, I think I'm going to get better and better, and I'm also going to experience other hurdles as well. So you're always going to get knocked down, but you got to keep pushing and trying to get your way to the top.
And I like it, and keep moving and just keep trying to improve. And
Yeah.
that goes into my next question. Where do you think the A League could improve? And like, what do you think it's missing? Because I feel like over the last couple years, You know, I think quality wise, I think it's been pretty good. Like even this year, I think it's been pretty good. But like, I think the fans they're lacking a bit. But I think on your, what do you think?
Yeah, so like the years that I've been playing, in the A-League, the first year I played when I come, with the victory, and then the year I come back, I think that was probably the best time for me, and also fan wise as well. There's a lot of fans coming into every victory game, and at Etihad we would have 40,000, 30,000 as well. Every game it felt like a European game. So I think the fan engagement now has declined definitely, and they definitely got a lot of work to do to restructure the league and to make it a bit more exciting. You know, I think definitely bringing. I think bringing in these two teams, Western United was good, and also MacArthur coming in next year. It just changes up the perspective and yeah, everything in the league. And then hopefully in the future they can get a second league as well going, and get a few more teams, and just make it interesting. People want to see people want to see teams go down, and people want to see rivalries and things like that. It's entertainment at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think 'cause Japan has a second league, and how does that? I'm sure. How does that as a player? I've been watching on Netflix Sunderland Till I Die, and
Yeah,
that's just ruthless. Like you got the
yeah,
media on your back, you got the
yeah,
fans that are like
yeah,
spitting on you and
yeah,
throwing things
yeah.
at you. Like, to me, I think that will really get the best out of some players, and
100%.
yeah, like I'm sure you're really gonna your team won't be in that, but you're gonna
Yeah,
be playing teams that they're gonna be they're literally relegation battle, but you're gonna
yeah.
think they're they're a top team the way they're playing. Like,
Yeah,
brings
exactly.
out a whole new it
Yeah,
brings out a whole new beast.
yeah,
Um,
100%. 100%.
and it's what I think. It's what I think the Australian, what we're missing in Australia, that second division. But quality wise, so how do you think Australia's faring? Even at
I,
a Socceroo level,
yeah,
how do you think we're faring?
I think quality wise, I think we're pretty good. Um, I think the Socceroos and whatever the Olyroos, we've shocked the world a few times as well by the players that we're producing, and because when you go to Europe, they think that we don't play soccer or football. They think we play cricket or rugby. So yeah, we definitely got quality players, and I think the more that we can, develop these young kids now that there's more teams in the league, it'll definitely help, especially pushing for them aspiring to go overseas and to push themselves, and we'll have even more quality players coming into the Socceroos, and we'll get better and better. So, but it has to start from the bottom. There's a lot of work to be done.
Do you think the quality of the ALeague has that over the last couple years? Do you think it's just kind of stayed stagnant? Do you think we've dropped, or do you think we've gone a little bit higher in our quality? Like where do you think
Yeah,
where do you think we sit? If I know it's hard. There's to draw a comparison, but where do you
yeah.
think we kind of sit at a whole league level?
I think I think the quality's kind of declined a little bit. Um, because now you got Sydney FC winning the league by more than 10, 15 points.
Yeah,
Um, and they've done that for what the last maybe 2, 3 years.
is
So
yeah.
the competition is and the rivalry is kind of dropped. But hopefully it can pick up again. With this new team coming in, MacArthur, the team it can be a bit more exciting, a bit more games as well, and I think they need to do more to engage the fans. This you think about when we're in preseason, you don't see any flyers, you don't see any advertisements, you don't see enough ads about the A League, and I definitely think there's still a lot more to do.
Yeah, I think the new football boss that's just come in, he did very good by getting obviously the women's World Cup to Australia and
Mm,
New Zealand, and that whole campaign. I feel like that marketing campaign as
yeah,
one, and how they put on the Opera House, and I
yeah,
think that they really I think they marketed that to a T, and it's the first time in a very long time that I think with Australian football's been in the spotlight,
yeah.
which was amazing to see. So, and I think the women they're holding up the game. They're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I think they're definitely doing well. The Matildas they've been competing at international level against the very best, and dominating. And now like a lot of the girls they're all signed at big clubs overseas, and I think it's great that we have the Women's World Cup coming to Australia. It gives Australia a bit more exposure, and um, they can really show that we love football over here, and we're open to anyone to come as well. And I think that's probably been I think it'll be one of the biggest competitions that they've had since the 2000 Sydney Olympics and the 2015 Asian Games,
Yeah,
Asian Cup. Yeah,
yeah, it is.
yeah,
And talking about Europe, do you have aspirations to get back over there again? And obviously, how do you plan to get that opportunity? You've obviously got to play well.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I definitely do, and I still got friends that are playing, in Europe, and I'm playing at PSV now, and I would love to go back, um, in the next maybe 2 years, or even maybe next year, depending on how things go. But for now, I'm just focused on performing week in, week out, and then if the deal comes, it comes. If not, I'm just gonna keep knocking on the door.
Good on you, man. Well, you're still young, man. And what are your chances of making the World Cup squad? Come on, we
The
we
World
got
Cup
a
squad
couple of years.
wins the World Cup anyway. 2 years, huh? It's
Yeah.
not far around the corner. So yeah, if I guess the most important thing is you know playing well and playing regular. So if I do leave, I want to go to a club where I'm going to play. Um, and I don't want to go to a club where I'm going to sit on the bench and it's going to hurt my chances to go and play at the next World Cup. So the decision is going to be very strategic, and I'm definitely knocking on the door with the Socceroos as well. So um, yeah, the next few moves are going to be very important.
Is that on the list of goals? Like we need to make this World Cup. Is that something that are we thinking about it?
100%. I think now uh, it's like a new generation of players. It's a completely changed team. The last guy standing was Millsy, and Millsy's retired now. So there's a new breed of players, and we need to make our own legacy. So it's about us stepping up, and doing something special.
The future's looking bright, and I know we've kind of just we're nearly touching on an hour, so I'll ask you one more question, and we'll wrap it up. But I don't know if you probably haven't thought this far, but I thought I'd throw it in anyway. After
Yeah,
football finishes, have you thought about the next move? What are we going to be doing?
Collins real estate, mate.
Done, brother. It's a
I'm coming in.
designated for
I'm
you. All
coming
right.
in, mate.
You're
No, I'm not too sure, man. I'm not too sure at the moment. I'm still young, and they always say have a plan B, but for me, I'm really focused on doing well, with football, and if football goes really well, then I won't have to work after and to think about anything else. So my main focus now is just football.
I love it, man. I love it. And honestly, Tommy, I appreciate everything. I really appreciate you taking your time out to have a chat. You've given me amazing insight, and I think you've given everyone that's listening a crazy insight with so much value into what it takes to be a professional footballer. And I thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been a while. It's good to catch up again, even though it's through a little screen, but it's good.
Well, hopefully, man, I'll when everything opens up, wherever you are, I'll come down. I'll come catch
Fly
a
down,
game.
mate. Fly down,
Yeah,
mate.
I'm
We'll have a few
coming.
beers.
I'm coming to take you.
Sounds good.
See you, brother. Thank you so
All right.
much.
No worries, brother. Take care.
Bye bye.
All right. Ciao.